Hey, you ready for a stat that is going to freak you out? Well, I'll tell you right after I tell you that I'm doing my show in Melbourne yet again, half-price tickets, because it's filmed, and also all the proceeds go to charity. So, make sure that you go to the Melbourne show if you're in Melbourne, and then if you're in any other country, you just fly over here to do it. And everybody else, go to the shows that are there somewhere. I think most of them I'm giving away to charity at this point. Anyway, now, here's the stat that will blow your mind, so get ready, because I don't think you're prepared for this. It's going to freak you out. If you were using the average amount of social media over the last 10 years, which is where it really started to explode around the 2012 mark. So we're talking about the good old days of Facebook. Before the boomers invaded it, and so it's the same thing that I think happens with TikTok as well. Now, as I stated before, with TikTok, the average Australian is using it to the point that you have spent a vacation's worth of time a year just on TikTok. Getting rid of all of your other social media consumption. Just TikTok. The average Australian that uses TikTok is using it the amount of time that you get in paid vacation. So you are taking a vacation somewhere, you're taking it away mentally. And the other thing that's really scary is you don't just clock out for the time that you are on TikTok, do you? No, because it makes you dumber. You get 10 IQ points dumber when you go on these social media channels for even, I think, about half an hour actually. After that, rest of the day, you're dumber, right? So let's just talk about the last 10 years before TikTok. This is before we had that little suckhole of a succubus that existed in this world. It was, instead of draining men's sperm, draining women's attention spans. Now, what was happening before this is you were on social media for the average amount of time. Guess how much time you spent over the last 10 years? I want you to actually guess this. I want some engagement here, okay? So I'm definitely listening to every last one of you. No, that's not correct. No, a little bit higher. Warmer. All right, here it is. I just can't hold it in any longer. 1.3 years. You spent a year and 1/3 of the last 10 years on it. Now, that might seem like it's a huge amount of time, and you think, no way am I spending that much time on it. But think about it, right? Really, it's 10% of your life, a little bit over, maybe 13% of your life, right? You probably spend about that much time on social media if you're being generous. I bet you that it's ramped up a lot ever since COVID happened, because as we saw, the numbers just exploded during COVID and they haven't really gone back down since. Bit like housing, am I right, millennials? Yeah, like and subscribe if you relate. That is not good at all, is it? Because that is 1.3 years. Think about that. A year of your life that you could have been spending on something that would have gotten you somewhere, where instead you spent it on, and this is what all the studies show, getting depressed. Now, I have some new information that I think that you're going to like, because it's going to give you an out and a justification to be on these things. Here's how much time you should be spending on these apps. I don't even know what the one on TikTok is. It's just too new, so we don't even know what the small amount of time is that it actually gives you any joy. But Facebook, half an hour. YouTube, I think you can extend that out to 40 minutes a day. 40 minutes a day, which sounds about right. Yeah, maybe that's pretty much just 2 episodes of something. That's just watching The Simpsons and Neighbours and then getting on with your life back in the day. Doing that on YouTube is going to make you happier. It's going to make you feel more productive. It feels like you're going to get something out of it. It's the same with Facebook, because really after that, what are you doing? You're just arguing with someone who's twice your age at that point if you're in Facebook longer than half an hour. And you probably were arguing with him the entire time that you were there, but after a while it's like, this is getting tiring, but can't stop because he's such a dick. That's what's happening there. So, you want success in life. Think about that. You are spending, at a minimum, 10% of your life, at an absolute minimum, 10% of your life doing things that reap no reward for you. There is no way that the vast majority of your YouTube consumption, there is no way that the vast majority of your Facebook consumption was remotely helpful to you. If anything, it was damaging, it was detrimental, it gave you a bad mindset, it made you feel like shit for the rest of the day, it made you laggy, because this is the same thing as and you also probably spend 2 months being completely blotto. Yeah, but what about the hangover? What about the next 3 days where you weren't even at your Christmas, where you were just staring blankly into the computer going, ugh, and getting absolutely nothing done? This is what happens the more effective that you get. This is the unfair rule of humanity, which is that if you are effective in life, good for you, that's great, but you just keep getting more effective. Because you just keep getting more and more addicted to the idea of being effective. So you just keep cutting out more of these things of like, yeah, now let's try and put tequilas up our assholes. And yeah, it definitely made me more drunk, but I feel a lot more shame as well. Still worth it. That's what's happening there. So, how do you get out of this rut? How? I think that this is actually a really good tool for you to utilize, don't you? That you know, don't you, dickhead? That you, if you spend... Dickhead, listen. If you spend half an hour on these things a day, minimum, you're going to feel happy. And I think that that's pretty reflective in my own consumption of things now. I think that I do actually feel a little bit better if I consume a TV show a day. Just like, the little half an hour one and then out. But then you double up on it, unless it's The Simpsons. Greatest show of all time. Fight me, Gen Z, with your fucking Rick and Morty. Which is also great as well. But come on, you just don't understand. You weren't there. To give you a variation on it, if you don't know, you don't know. But, yeah, that's what's happening there. Okay? So, you can have a little tiny sprinkle of it. And I don't want to hear any of these comments at the bottom which is like, yeah, a little bit of moderation for everything. Because I know for a fact that if you are saying that, you are not doing it in moderation. But just know, you are trying to aim for a complete elimination of it because it is not effective. That should give you nightmares at night, knowing that you spent probably a year of your life minimum on utter shit. Not doing anything that helped you. Well, maybe just like, a tiny bit amount of that, I might give you that. But I don't even want to give you that. I want you to know that that is probably, if you have been alive since the social media revolution, all it has done is sucked up a year collectively of humanity's time and sunk it in to making Mark Zuckerberg richer. That's all it did. Actually, it made the world a much worse place, just both in terms of skills poverty, in terms of depression rates, massive spikes in depression rates. That's what they were saying as well. The same thing over and over. You look at the studies every time. They control the amount of time that people are used on Facebook. Wouldn't you know? All of a sudden, all of their anxiety and depression disappears. But the people that stay on these apps, it keeps getting worse. And it keeps getting worse because it is just, by its nature, social media, what is it doing? It is a judgmental place. It's actually a Neil Kolhatkar joke that he was talking about, which is just that Australian television is just people bitching about other people. That is the default. That is what human beings do. They like to be bitchy. And if there is no social cost to doing it, what are you going to do? You're going to be more and more bitchy and more negative, and that is imprinting into your mind and making you feel worse about the day. This is another way that it is affecting your life. You have to get off this stuff. What's the solution? Every time, self-control. Give yourself more bigger things to aim for in life, way bigger things to aim for in life. And then after a while, just like every other addiction that you don't have time for it anymore. This is the same thing with heroin in the classic mouse experiment. Why were the mice taking less heroin in the mice heaven as opposed to just like, hey, yeah, there's plain water there or you can just get smacked out? Because there was more things for them to do, so they just didn't have time to take heroin as much. They still took it a little bit, but they didn't take it anywhere near as much as the other ones who had nothing else to do but just trip out on heroin. Anyway, you like that? Make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks, because apart from these daily reminders that I'm giving you more reminders on Jordan Shanks. I am pushing these ideas, this mentality into your head, because this channel is for people that want to make something of themselves. I'm not one of these other YouTubers that my producer was just pointing out recently that just say all this kind of stuff of like, hey, there's a study here that just might be of interest to you, but if it's not, then whatever. No, that is not the mentality that I'm trying to put into you. I am going to be your drill sergeant. Just the same as what happens in the military, where they just drill into you the methods of success in life. Look, I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of giving you the risk of getting shot in the head in Afghanistan by a 12-year-old boy, instead of that, you're just going to pay a man with the mentality of a 12-year-old boy to just yell at you. Like the drill sergeant. This is getting very obsequious, so I'm just going to stop this now before it just gets any weirder. So, make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks. I will see you at the Bilbin show as well as the other shows as well. Bye.